Chief Migration Officer explains re-entry of Chinese national. Former Medical Board Chairman says proper screening done. And Prime Minister announces wish for Vatican Mission.
This is the National EMTV News with Mary Bertulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Saturday's news. Chief Migration Officer Solomon Kantha has explained the details of the re-entry of Chinese national Kevin Hekai, who was deported in 2012. Mr. Kantha said the removal orders signed against Mr. Kai had been rescinded by former Minister Rimping Pato. He said the decision on re-entry of deported persons is based on nature of the case, severity of offences, facts, evidence and consultation with all key agencies. The Chief Migration Officer says the agency is tightening its processes and has removed many unlawful non-citizens during this short period of time. The case was raised in Parliament by Governor for Northern Province Gary Jufa earlier this week. Former Chairman of the PNG Medical Board, Dr. Matias Sapuri, says foreign doctors working in the country have come through proper screening. Dr. Sapuri says only 2 cases were isolated and are unrelated to poor practicing in the country. He says the new Medical Board Act will require all doctors, both national and foreign, to complete annual competency and examinations before practicing in the country.
Dr. Sapuri was responding to comments and questions raised in Parliament this week regarding foreign doctors in the country. He told MTV every doctor practicing medicine is screened by the Papua New Guinea Medical Board.
Such that in order to practice in Papua New Guinea, I can say this categorically that no foreign doctors can easily just walk into the country and do any business or any practice in medicine until they're registered in the Medical Board of PNG.
According to Dr. Sapuri, foreign doctors have had a huge impact on establishing and delivering health services across the country. Foreign doctors also established pioneer medical schools in the country. The former chairman of the PNG Medical Board says the board had not downplayed the allowing of poor medical practice in the country. He backed the health minister's response in Parliament.
There was only one that was referred, but it was nothing to do with credentials. It was nothing to do with their qualifications. It was more to do with a health issue. And that was sorted out through the medical board.
Dr. Sapuri also highlighted that the new act the board will implement will be challenging for national doctors. He says this is to meet international standards.
Now, what it means is that when we set up the new act, the credentialing and the assessment of all doctors, whether they be nationals or whether they be foreigners, they will come under one stringent process, an examination process that will apply to both nationals and apply to both foreigners. It's just to make sure that all of us are up to scratch with what we do in our practice every day.
The act will be tabled in Parliament by the Health Minister. According to Sapuri, 20% of medical doctors in the country are foreigners. The other 80% are nationals. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
22-year-old Samantha Mosoro is the first recipient of the Ruby and Lafa Award. The announcement was made by patron of the Miss Pacific Islands pageant and wife of Prime Minister Linda Babao O'Neill. Samantha will be graduating later this year at the University of Papua New Guinea with a Bachelor of Law. The award is in honor of the late Ruby Lafa, the former Miss South Pacific PNG 2012 to 2013, who tragically passed away while she was registering for studies at the Legal Training Institute. The award is part of the MPIP PNG scholarship. The Papua New Guinea government has announced its plans to establish a resident mission in the Holy See. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said this is to create a stronger working relationship between the Vatican and the Catholic Church in Papua New Guinea. He made these remarks at the corporate dinner hosted by the Catholic Church in the Oceania region to welcome Secretary to the Holy See, Cardinal Pietro Parolin.
Cardinal Pietro Parolin and members of the other dioceses in the Oceania region were welcomed with a number of traditional dances upon arrival at the corporate dinner. Cardinal Parolin has served as the Secretary for State in Vatican since October 2013. He arrived in the country on Wednesday to meet with archbishops of the Oceania region. This includes New Zealand, Australia, and few Pacific countries. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill made appreciating remarks on the work of the Catholic Church in Papua New Guinea. He highlighted that churches continue to assist the government in providing health and education services in rural areas.
Right now in hospitals and aid posts and healthcare centers around the country, church health workers are saving lives and preventing the spread of diseases. Our people and our government truly thank you for that commitment. The focus of this conference is of great importance to Papua New Guinea and, of course, the Pacific. Your focus on dealing with climate change and the consequences it has in our region is applauded.
Cardinal Pietra Parolin has overseen the diplomatic service of the Holy See since his appointment 5 years ago. He is vocal on humanitarian concerns, issues on climate change and its consequences, and the conflicts in the Middle East. His visit to PNG is to meet with over 75 bishops from other dioceses to speak on some of these concerns.
I am glad to note that the Catholic Church, present in Papua New Guinea for more than a century and a half, has always put an accent on the promotion of the dignity of the human person. The Church, planted long before independence, wished to collaborate with the newly independent state in the service to the poor by responding to essential needs such as healthcare and education.
He becomes the second highest ranking leader from the Vatican See to visit Papua New Guinea. Thekla Gunga, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. We'll be back with more of the day's top stories after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Transparency International PNG has called on Works Minister Michael Nally to provide substantial evidence for the suspension of Momase Regional Works Manager Brian Alois. Alois was suspended after making a presentation at the National Planning Summit last month on the economics of building roads in PNG. This was at the invitation of the National Planning Minister, Richard Maru. In a statement, the TIPNG said the Department of Works needs to justify the suspension of Alois' accused falsehood. Otherwise, the public can assume that the government department is terrified of the truth. TIPNG Chairman Lawrence Stevens said speakers were invited by government to assist Papua New Guinea by bringing their experience and advice to a public planning meeting. He said for the government to then punish speakers for doing what they were requested to do is outrageous. The Anglican Church of PNG has launched a new project to empower communities. Initiator Colin Andamale says the project is to address poverty issues. The project will be piloted in Port Moresby.
Members of the Anglican Church and other stakeholders hosted a small gathering to signify the launch of the project. Known as the Kissing and Giving model, it aims to provide seed capital to organized groups to empower community initiatives and support livelihoods.
That's why we see this model will bring people forward to do something for themselves. People going forward to do things, how they can bring their assets together and move things forward.
Anglican PNG has partnered with government agencies and donor organizations to provide health and education services. Anglican representatives say the aim of the model is to address poverty in the country.
So our programs that we've been doing is just working in the community. We brought expertise in. We are working in the community with the people, and all our programs have been funded through donor.
For this model, the project has received financial backing from the Sir Brian Bell Foundation and Indian Association of Papua New Guinea. A representative from the Indian Association says the program must be sustainable to achieve its goals.
But you have to take that help in an honest manner and ensure that whatever money you get, you put it back and make it a sustainable model. That is more important.
This would be one of Anglican's biggest projects and will run parallel with other programs. It will operate as an asset-based community development approach, a process of get-give back to help communities improve standard of living.
After 4 months, we see a multiplication effect. We see cooperatives after cooperatives moving into livelihood skills, small income generating activities.
Jack Lopave Jr., National EMTV News.
16 finalists from the Commonwealth regional categories, Africa and Europe, Asia, the Caribbean and Americas, and the Pacific, are on the way to London, UK, for the 2018 Commonwealth Youth Awards for Excellence in Development Work. Among them is Lazarus Towa, who will be representing PNG. Towa has been recognized for his efforts in assisting over 200 individuals get full-time employment.
Lazarus Towa, an ambitious young man from Karawagi, Chimbu Province, has been recognized by the United Nations and now the 2018 Commonwealth Youth Awards in his efforts in assisting Papua New Guineans gain employment. Towa began his journey to London yesterday.
My trip to UK today is basically to be given an award for my work that it has been recognized by the Commonwealth and by Queen. Yes.
Towa started assisting individuals in 2014 when he saw his friends struggle to gain employment after university. He provides job seekers with tips on how to write a CV, cover letters, and prepare for job interviews.
Desire that each and every person in this head deserve to be happy in life. So that's what usually kept on motivating me, and at the end of the day, I just want a person to be happy.
These efforts made off in a more personal manner when he reached out for help to finance his trip to participate in the Commonwealth Forum.
5 of us selected, 2 from Fiji, 2 from Australia, and I am the only one from Papua New Guinea. And what saddened me most was no single government of Papua New Guinea support in this travel. So they should take the ownership that I am an ambassador for the country to the Commonwealth, and I even wrote to them.
Lionheart International, Toro Gaming, Flight Expresso, and followers of his Facebook page sponsored Towa to arrive in time for the forum.
Yes, as a sponsor, we are so happy and are proud to support one of our very own people, and that's in the like of Lazarus Towa.
The Commonwealth Youth Forum will be held at Queen Elizabeth II Conference Centre at Westminster in London from the 16th to 18th of April 2018 with the theme Powering Our Common Future. 4 regional winners will be invited to receive their awards at an official ceremony during the Commonwealth Youth Forum. Lilian Sopera-Kinea, National EMTV News.
The waste management team from Lae City Council Health Department carried out an inspection at the Wangsheng sausage factory. This came after a family raised concerns on the media over the waste from the sausage factory that affected their living conditions. Documents given to the inspection team show that it was approved to be a storage warehouse. However, it's now being operated as a factory.
Documents show that the Morobe Provincial Physical Planning Board approved the construction of the building as a commercial warehouse, shops and residential buildings. The Chinese company Zhenglong Investment, operating as Wangsheng Limited, then converted the use of this warehouse into a sausage factory. The Waste Management Inspector from Lae City Council, Peter Wiwi, asked the company to provide an approved plan for the septic and sewage that was constructed. However, the company failed to provide one.
Nah, who said give him what him is stable where? Who said he want him walking to stay in this design? Architect. Architect for you?
Architect for me and stuff.
all sila paper you must come.
All right, okay. Yeah, me go ready now. Okay, show you.
Aren, all sila paper by staff now you can operate in business. This la paper you know staff. How about you operate nothing at the end, but you go reverse, you go back in. You must get all sila paper you must staff. So me like all sila throw in blow. And me consent part and sila safety tank na. One plan and sila nadula tubla. Me like sila tubla.
These buildings are serving 4 different purposes: a residential building, warehouse, shop and factory. The concern identified during the inspection yesterday by the waste management team was how the septic tank was constructed. The septic was constructed and sealed. Wiwi said this was not constructed according to the normal septic tank standard. Mr. Wiwi told the company to provide the approved plan for the septic tank before further actions would be taken. An unknown man who refused to identify himself questioned the presence of media and advised Lay City Council to provide a formal request to the company trading as Zinglong Investment before they provide the approved structure.
This? No, me no carry come.
Okay, can you stop? You have a right, but can you stop?
Me no come, but only at follow up to call me only been come first time logan. Okay. Me come lo complain lo.
Let's do formally. No, I'm not arguing with you. Shut up, please. Okay, you write us a formal complaint or request, and then forward it to us. We will respond accordingly. Then you have a right to come take. We're not stopping you. I know you, the media has the right. Don't argue with me. I know your rights. I know my rights. I want the formal request from you guys, and we will respond accordingly. We're not doing things illegally. Okay? That's it.
I'm not here to.
I know your purpose. I know your purpose.
Yeah, there's a complaint, and at the same time, I'm trying to help you.
Yes.
In a way, I'm trying to help you so that you have to have something. If you have a drawing, then you have to conform to that. The drawing, all the structures should conform to the drawing.
Okay.
And I'm here to make sure
I'm not hiding anything here. These have been built to accommodate, you know. So for us to come and gather around here, bring the media and make it something big.
Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Lay.
Yeah, with Saturday's news, we go for a break. When we come back, we take a look at stories making headlines overseas. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, the United States, France and the United Kingdom say that they have launched military strikes against the Syrian government and its chemical weapons program. CNN with this report.
They're in response to last week's suspected chemical attack in Douma. US defense officials say at least 3 sites have been targeted. These earlier images appear to show weapons streaking across the skies of Damascus. US President Donald Trump announced the strikes late Friday. And he had this message for Syrian allies, Iran and Russia.
I also have a message tonight for the 2 governments most responsible for supporting, equipping, and financing the criminal Assad regime. To Iran and to Russia, I ask, what kind of a nation wants to be associated with the mass murder of innocent men, women, and children? The nations of the world can be judged by the friends they keep. No nation can succeed in the long run by promoting rogue states, brutal tyrants, and murderous dictators.
The UK says it's been in close contact with the US and France over the past few days. Prime Minister Theresa May says the strike should come as a strike to no one. She emphasized that they are not about regime change, but to send a clear message that using chemical weapons will not be tolerated.
I have authorised British armed forces to conduct coordinated and targeted strikes to degrade the Syrian regime's chemical weapons capability and deter their use. We are acting together with our American and French allies. In Douma last Saturday, a chemical weapons attack killed up to 75 people.
Here with National EMTV News now, we take a look at what's happening in sport when we come up after the break on Trukai Sports. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with Rugby Union, and the PNG Men's Sevens team played their first match at the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games today. Unfortunately, PNG lost that match to Scotland 27-0.
PNG's lazy defence saw Scotland score an easy try on the wing early in the first half.
The tackle of guys, and there is the first try for Scotland. An easy one as well. Some poor defence there from Papua New Guinea.
Good defence from Puk Puk's Patrick Tatut was able to deny Scotland's second try.
Initially he's held up, he then rolls over. No, fair play to Papua New Guinea.
The Scottish mounted pressure on PNG's defence, which saw them cross over for their second try.
On the chest of Bryce, not the best of passes for Graham, but he'll still have too much pace to score in the corner.
2 minutes later, Scotland was over again.
He's outside, wraps around, and Horn will score.
PNG struggled to control play, with simple handling errors causing them ball possession. A few seconds before half-time, PNG got close to scoring their first try, but the try went begging as Tirang's pass could not find the hands of Kopana.
Terang puts the foot down. Good cover defence. The pass wasn't on the money though.
In the second half, Scotland continued their dominance, again scoring early.
Fandale for the corner, and there is the try. 22-0.
PNG's Emmanuel Guys was taken off the field of play after sustaining a shoulder injury.
It'll be okay for the next match.
Though PNG had more ball possession, they could not get past the Scottish defence.
Into a little bit of space. What can they show us here?
Scotland had the last say as they scored right on full time to seal their victory. Final score, Scotland 27, PNG 0. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
ICTSI PNG Palai coach John Larry told EMTV Sports that the Palai's performance at the recent Hong Kong Sevens was a little bit unexpected, but was overall a good performance by the team. Captain Alois says leading the Palais into Hong Kong as a captain for the first time was a little overwhelming. She says mistakes from Hong Kong have been noted and the girls will try to work on improving those areas.
Evaluating the ICTSI Palais competition in the HSBC Hong Kong 7 series, Larry says winning one of the 3 matches was not satisfactory. He believes the Palais could have done better. Comparing Sydney Sevens to Hong Kong Sevens, he says a little improvement was shown, but the ICTSI PNG Palais will have to work extra hard into the future.
China was one of the surprise team in Hong Kong. They prepared well and they came. We took them lightly. We started well, but we just our lack of discipline just let us down. With China, we started well. Like half time, we were leading like 10. It was supposed to be 10-0 at half time, but it was 10-5 at half time. And I told the girls that we just have to believe and we have to play together as a team.
Captain Alois says leading the team to Hong Kong was very overwhelming, but had great support from the coach.
As a first-time captain for Palais, it was very tough for me. It was a new experience for me, but as working alongside with some bigger girls like Cassandra Simpson, Joanne Laguna, and some others, they helped me in the captainship role. They stood beside me.
She says after watching the team's performance on the field, PNG Palais will have to work on more techniques.
We have to work in our defensive and also in our attack. That's the main area, and also in our discipline. That's very important. We just have to go back to training and pick up from where we left and train hard. To look forward for the World Cup.
With World Cup 2 months away, Larry says preparations for San Francisco will start shortly, where he will make sure that the best players are selected to play in the World Cup.
The World Cup that's going to be in US. It's in July. The main thing we were focusing is to work with our skill level, and we need to get bigger and stronger, and we'll work on our speed, maybe play more games
That's one of the things that we really like to play more sevens matches in our comp.
The strong backing of a global company such as ICTSI will definitely boost the confidence of current and emerging players.
ICTSI South Pacific for coming on board. It's a big boost to our ladies.
Thank you for our sponsors, the ICTSI South Pacific, and also the CPL, and not forgetting the Anglican for coming on board and supporting the men's team and the women's team.
Godwin Eki, National, EMTV Sports.
NCD Rugby Union started its season proper today with the competition to run for the next 16 weeks. Vice President of the tournament, David Baho, says for the first time, the women's 15s competition is now officially a part of the tournament. The first 15s match for the women's was between the favourites Spartans and Borderline Pirates. Godwin Eki reports.
With a total of 42 teams and competing in 7s and 10s competition in the past 2 years, Vice President David Bahu says the proper season this year has seen the introduction of the 15s competition.
42 teams. We have 6 parent clubs, parent unions, and all our affiliates. It totals up to 42, which makes us the biggest union in the country. We did have our sevens competition before the end of the year last year. We topped it off with the rookie sevens, and we started off. We didn't have a good start, so we started off with the 10s. And because of the Easter, we had a break, and last week was our second pre-season, and this is the proper season now. Well, women's is a new concept now. It's not anymore 7s or 10s. We gotta be with the whale. They're advancing. We're the only country that is lagging behind.
He says the inclusion of women's 15s competition is timely, especially when the rest of the world is ahead with their 15s competitions.
The top teams to look out for in the men's divisions would be Defence and the Spartans, who are the premiers last year. They were the 2 finalists. The Spartans had the better of it. But then, in saying that, you can't write off the new clubs that are coming in, especially Greyhounds. Greyhounds is boys made out of Unitec boys, and they've got rugby blood in them. They played Unitec, and they're playing here now. There's a lot of flair in the elite division. Sad to say that we have 8 parent clubs, but we only have 6. So there's 2 vacancies, and we have around 13 A grade, and we have the 2 discipline forces in.
Meanwhile, the first match for the women's 15s competition was between the Spartans and the Borderline Pirates, where favourite Spartans clinched the first win for the women's 15s, 32 points to Borderline Pirates 7.
We just witnessed the first 15s match that was played between Border Pirates and Spartans. Yeah. Spartans are the queen in rugby in the country here with 10s and 7s. They're the queens in 7s. They've got most of their players rep players. But I got to take my hat off to Borderline Pirates. They're new in the comp. Most of them are playing rugby league, but what they've shown today that there's a lot of talent, and it's going to be a great year. That 15s. The concept 15 is going to be good for the girls.
Godwin Eki, National, EMTV Sports.
President of PNG Volleyball Federation, Kila Dick, says government incentives to athletes who win medals at the Commonwealth Games are not fair. He says while the incentives are seen to boost the morale and level of performance by the athletes, it is only fair that the government provides similar incentives for other international events where Team PNG's representation is present.
You know, some weeks back, prior to the travel by the Team PNG to the Commonwealth Games, the Vice Minister made an announcement of some incentives for those winning athletes. He announced that, you know, an athlete that wins a gold medal will receive 100,000, 50,000 to the silver medal medalist, and 25,000 to the bronze medal. So, you know, in 2015, that same announcement was made here in Papua New Guinea for the Pacific Games, and last year we had the mini games, and you know it would have been only fair that that announcement would have been made for the mini games as well. So any international features that our sports participate in, whether it's a team sport or individual sport, there should be fairness in these announcements. Because I'm saying this as a president of PNG Volleyball Federation, and not as a president but the citizens of Papua New Guinea, and it's only fair because a lot of our athletes are unemployed kids, and they sacrifice their time, their family. It's all. It's not a professional sports that we have here in the country, so this kind of incentives will only be boosting and morale of our athletes right throughout the country.
Yeah, with Trukai Sports, we'll have more for you when we come back. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Australia's discus queen Dani Stevens has defended a Commonwealth Games crown with a Games record to secure gold. This report from Channel 7.
A rising star soaring to new heights. Up he goes! He goes over! And he goes over! The technique was superb. The clearance was enormous. And as Curtis Marshall fell back to earth, the enormity of the moment set in. Just shy of his 21st birthday and winning gold in front of his ecstatic family. Mum Petra overjoyed.
You did it, Papa. Awesome, absolutely amazing.
On the way there were heart-stopping misses and a duel with Canadian Shaughnessy Barber. But now he's the Commonwealth champion and the sky's the limit.
Best feeling ever.
There was so much going on for the Aussie fans, they didn't know where to look. As Marshall took the lead in the pole vault, Dani Stevens was taking charge in the discus. Just 29, but competing in her third games, Stevens delivered a knockout throw.
Hard, it's sailing flat, it's sailing long, it's sailing!
Landing not just gold, but a Commonwealth record, sending a message ahead of the Tokyo Olympics.
My coach and I kind of joked that we're just getting warmed up.
Brooke Stratton leapt to long jump silver.
Matthews will get a medal.
And Luke Matthews' brave battle for bronze broke a 16-year medal drought in the 800. In the 200 final, high drama in the sprint for the finish line.
Richards coming at him. Hughes is pulling up.
As Zarnell Hughes celebrated the photo finish victory, there was close scrutiny of whether the English sprinter had impeded Trinidad and Tobago's Jareem Richards.
When he crossed the line, Hughes actually grabbed his hand.
There was a protest, counter-protest and confusion. Lord Sebastian Coe even wondered if he'd need to adjudicate.
If I leave this commentary position in the next 3 minutes, it may be because I'm drafted up.
Zarnell has been disqualified.
Really?
Richards declared the winner, Hughes stripped of gold. The trouble was for Australia in the men's 400-metre relay heats, disqualified when Steve Solomon waited to grab the baton in the wrong lane.
To cricket, and the biggest shake-up since Kerry Packer founded World Series Cricket, a $1.2 billion TV rights deal has been struck, making Channel 7 the free-to-air home of cricket. But Cricket Australia has not explained why Foxtel viewers will see one-day international and T20 internationals.
Emerging from behind closed doors after a marathon negotiation to unveil the biggest rights deal in cricket history.
This landmark partnership will allow cricket fans to have access to more cricket coverage than ever before.
After 40 years with Nine, the network has lost its sporting crown jewel.
This is a great deal.
All the talk of the ball tampering scandal devaluing cricket, rubbish. The price, a staggering $1.2 billion over 6 years.
And really, this deal is the foundation of our company for the next 5 years.
Seven will broadcast all summer test matches and 43 Big Bash games, including the finals, while partner Fox Sports gets simulcast rights and one-day internationals, T20 internationals and 16 Big Bash games.
Great opportunity for Channel 7 and it'll be awesome cricket.
We had a shake-up in the playing ranks recently, and maybe this change in broadcaster will also be advantageous from that point of view, just a whole different look to the game.
It's a major coup for Seven, a king-hit counterpunch after losing the $300 million tennis rights to Nine last month.
But look, we're just looking forward to giving cricket the Seven treatment.
But it marks the end of an era.
Come on, Aussie, come on, come on.
Kerry Packer took the rights 40 years ago. World Series cricket shook up the establishment. It became the soundtrack of summer.
76 overs, 2 for 222.
And who'll be the voices on the next soundtrack? That's to come.
I've been hearing a few of them on my voicemail today.
Questions, though, on the one-day internationals and T20 internationals, exclusive to Fox and its subscribers, but meant to be free.
One-day cricket is listed, but we work through all of the regulatory requirements to find a balance that allows more cricket to be televised than ever before.
The Communications Minister would only issue a statement. It will be for Cricket Australia to explain how their broadcast arrangements benefit fans and participants. For 10, the deal is a shock, heavily reliant on Big Bash revenue. For 9, a major blow.
Disappointment that this is a product that has been associated with Kerry Packer and with Nine for the last 40 years, and they would be sad to be walking away from it.
And for women's cricket, a pledge to broadcast all Commonwealth internationals and 23 Big Bash games.
This is an unprecedented level of coverage for women's sport in Australia.
The CEOs of Seven, Cricket Australia, Foxtel, taking their bats and ball and going into a new era for cricket coverage.
And that's a wrap for Trukai Sports this evening. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Port Moresby mostly fine with a chance of evening shower or two. Showers expected in Daru and Kerma. A few showers as well for Popondetta. Afternoon showers expected for Alotau. To the Momase region, rain expected in Ley and Wau. A few showers for Madang. A shower or two as well for Wewak and Vanimore. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine for Lorangau. Afternoon showers expected in Kavieng and Kimbe. A shower or two for Kokopo, Rabaul and Buka. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, all these major centres can expect fog clearing into a few showers over the next 24 hours.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And before we go, a recap of our top stories this evening. Chief of Migration's response to Parliament questions about re-entry of foreign national. Former Medical Board Chairman says all doctors will continue to be rigorously tested. And Prime Minister O'Neill hopeful of having a PNG mission in the Vatican. And that's the news, sport and weather for today, Saturday, the 14th of April 2018. On behalf of the EMTV News team across the country, pleasant viewing and good night.